Hey, welcome to another episode of After the Buzz of Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Lee Jones. I'm with my guys always, the Hall of Famer, Mr. Basketball, Marvin Owens. What's up, Mar?
What's going on, man? Sitting here
Hey,
waiting for
man.
my Bama boys to take the court.
Yeah, let's see what Bama going to do. See if they can hold up the SEC pride because our pride is pretty low right now in the tournament, but we'll deal with that in a minute. Yeah, we got a great show for you today. A little programming note. We had our guest Dale Brown had some family situations come up. Could not make today's show. He said he would be on at hopefully next week to talk about the University of Kentucky and all things basketball. So Dale, I hope everything worked out, man, and we'll see you on upcoming shows. So we do apologize, but Dale had to cancel, and he'll be on with us next week, hopefully. So let's go through our topics, our rundown for the day. We're going to recap the NCAA tournament. Marv, I'm interested to get your opinions about how the SEC is faring in the tournament at large, and what are you looking at as far as the tournament and the trends of the tournament, with one and dones and mid majors and all of that. I want to hear that up from you. I want to talk about Kentucky. Dale was going to talk to us about Kentucky and how the Kentucky community was feeling about the loss to Oakland, so we're going to dive into that. And is it time for John Calipari maybe to say goodbye at Kentucky, or Kentucky to say we want to move on? I want to get your opinion about that, Marv. LeBron James had some comments this week about who is the most influential player that has come through the NBA. So I want to. He said Steph and AI work. I want to get your opinion about that, Marv, and see what your thoughts are about LeBron saying Steph Curry and Allen Iverson most influential players. Want to talk to you about where does winning championships matter in this great debate about who's the GOAT? And how much emphasis should we put on that? I'm interested to get some thoughts from the audience about that as well as we talk about that. And then we're going to round it out with talking about the top 5 quarterbacks that are coming out in the NFL draft. I want to get your opinion about who's the best, who should pick who, and is there a sleeper quarterback? So let's jump right into it, Marv. NCAA tournament. Man, it's been wild so far. On the men's side, the women's side has really been stacked. We're going to do more on the women's side next week as they get closer, go further into the tournament. Let's stick with the men's right now. What have been your thoughts, Marv, about the tournament so far? The significant losses by some of the blue bloods, as they call it, and where we think the tournament's going to go.
I mean, I think if you watch the tournament on par, it's giving you what you expect from the NCAA tournament. You know, some upsets, some players that you've never heard of before that get on the big stage and perform at a high level. So it's been entertaining for sure. From an SEC perspective, you got to be disappointed. You know, I'm a former SEC player, Crimson Tide. You know, I'm an SEC homer, as you like to say. But they hadn't shown up, man. Mississippi State was disappointing. They looked like they were just completely outclassed and out physicaled by Michigan State. I really expected more from them. I was disappointed. South Carolina, the same. They couldn't throw it in the ocean. So kind of what showed up for them all year really, really propelled itself against Oregon. And Oregon basically took away the things that they did well and made them say, hey, can you shoot the basketball? And they couldn't do it. Florida, the same. But the Florida loss isn't as bad as I think a lot of people want to try to make it out to be, because if you watch Colorado as the tournament progressed, and even today, Colorado got some pros on that team, and definitely could have won that game today. So I don't know if that loss was as bad as people tried to make it out to be at first, but highly disappointed in the SEC. We still got a few teams. We got Texas A&M, Bama boys getting ready to come on. Might be one other, might kind of off the top of my head, but also disappointed with Kentucky. I know we're going to talk about that later, but to come out there and just have a guy that has a game of a lifetime against you and not find a way to kind of take away his ability to make shots was surprising to me. But then you got your mid majors. I think that they've shown up. Samford got hosed against Kansas. I know one of my boys watching is a Kansas fan, but Samford got hosed. Kansas was dealing with a lot of injuries. I'm going to give them a little bit of a pass. I thought Samford was going to win that game outright anyway. They're a good basketball team. I know them where they are down outside of Birmingham, so follow them a little bit. The team with the kid that was the NAIA All-American, I can't remember the name of the school, but a lot of these mid majors will show you that they got guards that can play on any level, and guards propel you in the NCAA tournament. The
Right.
depth will start to wear on you as the second half comes on with some of these mid majors, but you can see the guards can play anywhere. Even from my time when I played, you play Florida A&M and them schools, man, the guards could go. That's universal, and the NCAA tournament is ran by guards. But it's still kind of held par for me. The NCAA tournament is about you know, the ability to withstand, the ability to make timely shots, and experience. A lot of people don't bring that up, but the tournament is about experience. If you've never played in it and you've never been part of it, it's a completely different game than a regular season college basketball game. So experience really really does help. But moving forward, the team that I thought would win it all is still there. Three of my Final Four teams are still in the mix, so I'm doing pretty good. I don't think anybody can foresee that Kentucky loss though.
Yeah, well, you're not doing pretty good because look, you came out, you started out right. The SEC's been the most disappointing. My three takeaways: disappointment in the SEC. I've always said, I thought that the new SEC way of playing basketball, it's been watered down. I mean, I think about 10 to 12 years ago, the SEC was one of the top conferences, and now they're just showing that the basketball has taken a slide down, in my opinion, over the last few years. So the SEC was one of my first takeaways. The mid-majors, how they're not afraid to play against these Power 5 conferences was really my second takeaway. These guys play them in the non-conference, and they are not afraid. They went through a brutal season. They won their tournaments, and it shows when they play against these teams that they're not afraid, and they come out and they play. The only thing that I see, Marv, is the Power Fives have bigger size difference in the post area. But to your point, the guard play at the mid-majors is the great equalizer, and they control the game. I think back to the James Madison guard, how he's just distributing the ball and how he was just dropping dimes and penetrating and giving that ball up. And it's a beautiful thing. Tennessee's guards, I know you were at the Tennessee and Texas game last evening. I want you to tell our audience what you saw during that game, but that comes to mind. And then my third takeaway from the tournament so far is you touched on it. The one and done era where there were all these one and dones and teams recruited for the one and done player. We want to get Kentucky had 5 of the top 25 recruits in the country on their team, and the demise of the one and dones in the tournament is so relevant. It's like now the more experienced teams that have been together are the ones that are advancing in the tournament, and these teams that have went out for the one and done player to get them on their roster, it's not materializing the way it has in the past. So there needs to be a new model of how you team build, and I think you've heard Bill Self say it, you've heard John Calipari say it. How do you build a team in a new era of NIL and transfer portal to win a national title, Marv? I want to get your opinions on that. So yeah, first tell us about the Tennessee and Texas game that you attended, and tell us what you thought of that game. That was a very good game that I thought had 3 distinct games within a game last night.
Yeah. I mean, highly competitive. Being in front, being in person, and watching the game. The one thing that you notice about Tennessee, and I expected this because a coach on the Tennessee staff coached me in Alabama, and he was basically our defensive specialist. And we were really good defensively in my time in Alabama, so I knew Tennessee would be good. But seeing them in person, they're long and they defend. They get up in you, and they make every dribble, every passing lane, every cut. They contest everything, and that travels in the tournament because when you're not making shots, if you can stop people from scoring, you got a chance to stay in ball games. So that's the one thing that I really noticed was the physical level of Tennessee, and I think that's going to propel them within this tournament. I think they got maybe Gonzaga in the Sweet 16, or Creighton in the Sweet 16,
Great.
which I think they'll get past and eventually meet up with Gonzaga. That's the way I see it. But Texas is right there too. I mean, athletically, Texas is there. I thought the Abrams kid would make a little bit more of a splash with Texas than he did, but the Ziegler kid was the SEC Player of the Year, and he really got up in him. New York City kid, he don't back down to anybody, and Tennessee is tough, man. So I expect them to go pretty far in this tournament because they can defend the hell out of the basketball, and that's going to carry you in the tournament. And to your point about the one and dones, I think people lose sight of this is that not a lot of teams who had spectacular freshman classes or one and dones have won national championships. We have only a few cases. Made the Syracuse team, if you remember back with
Carmelo.
Carmelo, the Kentucky team, of course, and that Duke team. But even with that Syracuse team, you had seniors that were in that McNamara for Syracuse, and when you look at that Kentucky team, you had some guys that were in there that were older that kind of guided Anthony Davis and those guys through that process. So, as much hype as you get about these one dones, they don't win titles, and it doesn't translate into college. It doesn't translate into wins in the tournament because, like I said, it's a different animal. I do think that roster building needs to be different. Here's one thing that I do know playing college basketball is it's a program that you build, and you can't build a program and an identity in half a season or one season and getting a lot of transfers in to mesh into an identity that you're trying to build. That's why you see these older teams so well or do so well in the tournament because they've built an identity. It's either on offense, it's mostly though through defense, and it's mostly through guys who've been through the battles and know that you're never out of the game and do the little things really well. That's the difference between winning and losing in this tournament. It's the little things. It's the guy that's going to dive. It's the guy that's going to make the pick in the right play or, the right dive to the basket or whatever the case may be. Those are things you build throughout being together for multiple years. And freshmen, no matter how good they are, those parts of their games have not been developed yet. And then when you get transfers, and we talked about it with Memphis this year, you had a lot of guys who athletically and from a basketball standpoint were really good, but they didn't build any kind of camaraderie. You didn't know what they were. So when it comes to team, I think you're going to see a lot of these schools start to shy away from it. I think you'll see schools go and get an impactful transfer, but I don't think that you're going to see multiple transfers on some of these blue bloods anymore, like Kansas and Kentucky. I think they're going to have to look at this a lot differently. Even Alabama, he brought in a lot of transfers, and it works because of the system. But I also think ultimately that's going to be their demise, the fact that they don't have any identity defensively. So
Should,
I think you're going to see him change.
should Marvin, and then I want to get this in to you as well. Should the tournament committee, you look at how the tournament is always comprised, and you see all these Power Five conferences get 5 teams in, 6 teams into the tournament. Their records are probably on the surface. The overall record is probably less than some of the mid majors, but they still get that rep of being great conferences. They get the rep of being, the ACC. When we think about the ACC, we think about Patrick Ewing, Sam Perkins, Jordan, and then we think about the Kentucky teams, the Arkansas teams, your Alabama, Antonio McDyson, those teams. But has the paradigm in college basketball changed to where these mid majors, Marv, are closing in on the Power Five, and should they re-examine how many of these mid majors get in the tournament and saying that you have to win that conference tournament is the only way you can get in? What is your opinion about that? I seem to think that too many times we default in giving the SEC 5 teams in. Well, they're 1-5 in the tournament right now, one and done out. Is that a flaw in the committee? I think it is, in my opinion, Marv. I want to get your opinion, and I want to get our audience's opinion as well.
Yeah, I think so. I think you bring up a really valid point because the tournament is about stories. It's about the underdog. It's about guys that you've never heard of getting on a stage and competing with the people that you see 3 or 4 nights a week and realizing that there's a lot of good basketball played across the country. So I absolutely think they should look at how they redo this model. I mean, for instance, let's take Michigan State and Mississippi State. Although it was a blowout, did either one of them really deserve to be in the tournament when all was said and done? They got in the tournament on the backs of the conference that they played in. Same thing with Wisconsin. I mean, if you look at kind of the outcome of some of these games, it would be better for us to have some more of these Moorhead states. That's who I was thinking about earlier, with guys that you could see could really compete on that level and make the tournament even more exciting. And I think that that's what the casual fan is looking for. They're looking for the stories. They're looking for,
Absolutely.
schools that you haven't heard of to get into a tournament and make noise, which we know they can do. All you need is a break. I mean, the tournament is one game. Anybody can get hot for one game. Anybody can play trash for one game. That's what it's about. So I agree with you. I really would like to see more mid majors because it's a lot of good basketball being played on that level. And again, guards dominate the tournament. And it's a lot of good guards that play on that level that could come in and make a name for themselves, make a name for their university. But this is about money. This is about the conferences, and we all know how that rolls.
Yeah, and thank you, Ms. Keaton, for joining us. Mrs. Orange, we appreciate you as always. Thank you, thank you. Please keep chiming in. Let's switch it up a little bit, Kentucky. I want to stay there right here in the SEC because I don't like to let you all get off the hook. Kentucky, 1-4 in their last 5. Marvin, in their last 10, either SE tournaments or NCAA tournaments in their last 10 games, they're 2-8. They're 2-8. And since Calipari lost, I think, to Wisconsin because they lost in 15, I think.
Yeah.
They're 10-7 in NCAA tournament games. So my question to you and my question to the audience is two things: where does Kentucky go from here? And is it time for the Kentucky Wildcats and John Calipari to say, okay, we've done great things together, but maybe it's time to part ways? You're an SEC guy. Talk to me, Mark.
This is a hard one for me because where do you go if he does leave? Like Kentucky's not, it's not Alabama. It's Kentucky. Basketball is king in Kentucky, and you got to have somebody that is going to excite that fan base, somebody that fan base is going to believe in. You can't go bring in, just Joe Schmo to coach the University of Kentucky. That $33 million buyout is quite large. Now, not to say that they couldn't do it because they can figure that out. But I don't know who you get to come in and take over that program that's going to give them instant credibility. The only person that I would see, and I don't see him coming out of retirement to do it, would be Villanova's coach, Jay Wright. That's the person who I think that if you could get him to come out and take over that program, that's the only name that I would see that would be worth it to me. Maybe Scott Drew from Baylor, but he's not leaving Baylor.
But let me chime in there. Every coach, and you think about this, let's think about Kentucky's last 4 coaches. Cal won a national title. Pitino won a national title. Tubby Smith won a national title. Everybody that has gotten there has won and won big. So I don't know if it has to be a name coach. What about one of these hot, up-and-coming mid-major coaches that are leading their teams to the tournament and getting the Sweet 16s? Could that be a replacement for Cal? Because I think sometimes the persona, the ego, the style, maybe it's getting stale with Cal, right? He was a king of the one and done and getting them all there. And we're getting these kids to the NBA and we're preparing them, but you're not winning. And the Kentucky fans have a right to want winners and not people just going to the NBA. So what do you think, Marv, about an up-and-coming mid-major? And Kentucky, I know the fans are frustrated because all over the blogs and social media, they're just upset. But you're an SEC guy. You played there. What do you think about some of these hot mid-major coaches coming in and taking over Kentucky? Or is that something that they're going to be upset for now, but Calipari will be back talking the same talk that he talked last year?
First and foremost, I think Calipari will be back. I'm going to go on record to say that I think he'll be coaching Kentucky next year.
I do too.
And there's a few reasons why. Now, while people may be upset about the fact that he's fell apart in the tournament recently, there's other things at play here. Recruiting is a big thing. Now, you can say what you want to say about John Calipari, but kids love him. They love playing for him, and he can walk into any living room and get any kid, no matter where they are. Like that's just a staple of who he is. Kentucky fans, do you want a mid-major guy that come in, maybe an upper-comer, whoever it may be, to come in and you're going to lose your recruiting class, number one. And he's got one of the top recruiting classes coming in again. You're going to lose that recruiting class, and you basically going to be starting from zero because that's what's going to happen. Kids are going to leave, right? And also, let's be real here. Like, I think Kentucky was inflated this year. The Dillingham kid, he's nice. Like he's but do you think he's transformational? Like, seriously, from a he's got a high grade in the NBA next year. But what do you see him being in the NBA? Was he a Carmelo Anthony that could take a team all the way through the tournament because his gifts were so special? No, he wasn't. He was a 6'3" point guard that got nice handles, can make some shots. You got the Reed Shepard. I played against his dad in college. Like, he's good, but he's not transformational. He's not somebody that's going to lead you through a tournament as a freshman. Those two freshmen. So to think that Kentucky had a team, comprised a team together that was going to actually win this thing, I think was the only reason people said it was because they are Kentucky. That's the only reason why people said this. Any basketball head could look at that roster and say, yeah, they got some issues. They got some deficiencies. So, and Calipari went to what everybody else has gone to. It is the flash, outscoring people, no defense being played. The majority of college basketball has gone to that because you can no longer build culture because you're so busy trying to retain kids, bring other kids in because kids leave. That is the culture that has been created. So you can no longer have a culture and identity that's built on like back in the day with those other coaches. What was the identity of those Kentucky teams? The one that I played was defense. Now, they shot the hell out of three, but they would lock your ass up. That's what they would do. Arkansas, when they won, that identity was defense. Kentucky under
absolutely.
Kentucky under Tubby Smith, that identity was defense.
But
That's not.
isn't that a product of how your coach is coaching
No,
the team and his
no,
philosophies, Marv, and how he's recruiting? I mean,
no.
so I'm hearing you say that, but Kentucky fans and anybody that's a fan of Kentucky has a right to expect him not to lose in the first round of the NCAA tournament. And so, if that's what you're going to get from Cal, I mean, losing recruits is nothing because you're getting put out in the first round. I'm going to catch some of these comments up. Recycle Me said that dude can't coach, talking about Calipari. Sandra Keaton says, yes, I think it's time for him to go. He needs to, they need to feel new blood. Miss Keaton said, you're right, Marv, in your analysis. Carl Mason Jr. got to get in the portal. The players are going to get in the portal. But Marv, this is what I can't understand, though. Yeah, I agree with you about the focus. But if you're not winning at Kentucky, and you're losing first round, you don't need John Calipari. Whoever's at Kentucky, they're going to build that recruiting base back. And so I think you can get a mid-major, similar to what y'all doing in football, by the way, at Alabama, but we'll go over that another day, and rebuild that program. Calipari's not giving you what you need, and he hasn't given you that for a long time.
Yeah, I don't agree. I don't agree that you can just bring anybody in and Kentucky is going to be Kentucky. Like, that's just not how it really would. That didn't happen with UConn. Kevin Ollie won that championship with the prior coach's players, and then they kind of fell apart. It's that there is a culture that kids get involved in and want to be part of that a coach builds. Right? The culture that Calipari built was the one and dones. I'm gonna get you to the league. I'm gonna get you paid. And remember, a lot of people don't take this into consideration. Calipari was the first person calling for players to get paid. He was the first. He was the first coach talking about players need to get paid, and we need to stop all this nonsense about all the stuff that we talking about. Kids need to get paid. Kids ride with Calipari. Now, any Kentucky fans, you can feel how you want to feel about him. You can say he's not a good coach, but he is a coach that players love to play for. And regardless of what you think the product is, he's won a national championship. He's been to several Final Fours. He's won everywhere he's been. So if you're not going to get better than that, you banking on a mid-major guy to come in and to still be able to recruit on that level and to still have Kentucky to be the blue blood that it is, I think that's asking a lot.
Everybody is recruited well at Kentucky. Well, not everybody, but most coaches
No,
have gotten
no.
there, have recruited well at Kentucky. Ray Blackwell says Kyle is a great recruiter, but not a great coach. And Marv, that's why I trend towards Calipari. Great recruiter, run and done. But his X's and O's, and you were a point guard, Marv, his X's and O's has a lot to be desired. Yeah, I mean, you can't adjust to a zone by Oakland. You're bigger. You're more athletic. You have better ball handlers. You can't adjust to the zone. Give me a break. And so that's my problem with it. And maybe to me, it's stale now, and it's time to go. Y'all keep the comments coming. We love this. We love y'all commenting. Come on, Marv. You can't be critical on Penny and not on Cam. Thank you, Recycle Me. That's a beautiful comment.
Well.
Excellent comment, Recycle Me. You can't be. That's a double standard, Marv.
I can. I can be, because you know why? Because he has Final Fours in the NCAA championships in his back pocket. So that is something that gives him a little bit of leeway when it comes to coaching. What I saw from Penny, if we want to talk about the inability to make adjustments in game and the inability to have a team prepared for people, now we could do a whole breakdown segment on that if you like. But Calipari's won a championship, so you got to give him that. Recycle Me. And Carl Mason Jr., you know better than that.
Keep it coming, Recycle Me. 2012, that's a long time. We're gonna keep it coming. Y'all keep the comments coming. We love this. We love y'all commenting, and keep it coming. This is a great topic. We're gonna go to this next topic that I think is even better. So LeBron James on his new podcast, I forget the name of it, but his podcast with JJ Redick, he said in his playing career and his lifetime of watching and covering basketball, the two most influential players in the recent NBA is Allen Iverson and Steph Curry. And Marv, I wanted to get, and I'm gonna say it again. I'm gonna say it again. LeBron said the two most influential players, Steph Curry, Allen Iverson. And I'll give some of the backdrop because I want everybody to understand. Allen Iverson for the cornrows, the crossover, you know, how he was tough going in the trenches, his fearlessness, you know, how he brought the hip-hop culture in. Steph Curry for the beauty of his long-range three-pointers, his handle, and how now you see everybody shooting threes. I want to give you all the backdrop of that before we get involved in this conversation, because, Marv, I need for you to tell me one question and answer this for me. I'm going to ask one question for you. I want you to answer it. Michael Jeffrey Jordan. Michael Jeffrey Jordan. Now, I agree with him about Steph to some degree and AI. They did. I mean, you have younger people, you know, wearing the cornrows, doing the crossover, but there were a lot of people doing crossovers before Allen Iverson. Pearl Washington, old Syracuse. Tim Hardaway is the king of the crossover. Tim Hardaway Sr. So there are a lot of people doing the crossover. The arm sleeve, you see a lot of people wearing the arm sleeve and all that. But Michael Jeffrey Jordan, Marv. So I'm gonna give the floor to you, and please, audience, comment, because he said it was AI and Steph. How can you start that list when a man hasn't played for 20-something years and he still say everybody in America is wearing his shoes? And we talk about the influence on the game, and he's still recognized as the GOAT. Help me out, Mar. Help me out.
I think a lot of Jordan fans get sensitive about this. I know you probably got a Jordan brand T-shirt on under that T-shirt, or some Jordans on right now. Listen, man. Listen, I'm not 6'6". Are you 6'6"? I don't think so. A lot of you listening out there, you 6'6" with basketball abilities through the roof, like God-given natural basketball abilities and the physical stature to excel. No, most of us aren't. You can look at Steph Curry, you can look at Allen Iverson, and you can relate to how they got to where they are, right? If I go out and shoot 5,000, 10,000, 1,500 jump shots a day and make my jumper better and make my handle better and play with grit and have no fear, I might have a shot. And I think that that's what LeBron was trying to convey. Like some of these other players, you know, Michael Jordan just had God-given talent, and he had size that most of us don't have. Most of us will never be that. Now, of course, Michael Jordan was influential, but in terms of just the everyday regular person saying that I want to be a basketball player, and if Steph could do it at his size and his stature and what he's created for himself, then, you know, what's wrong with that? Allen Iverson, I played against Allen Iverson. Allen Iverson was 5'10", 140, like small. but the tenacity, the what he brought to the game, the crossover that he did on Mike, that really solidified his stardom, the start of his stardom. Like, people see that and they can relate to it. So, and he's changed the whole culture. He did. The NBA made a dress code. The NBA made a dress code because of AI. Like,
Because
he.
he was coming in there looking like he had just, came off from the club last night. But that's a different story. Let me ask you this, Marv. You said,
Thank you, Miss Orange.
and we want to catch up some of these comments. Ray Blackwell said Penny Hardaway can't coach. We'll get back to that. But let's go. Recycle me. Ain't nobody relating to Jordan. I don't know what that means. Please explain yourself. Recycle me, the dude's style is terrible. Tonikia, I hope I pronounced your name. If I didn't, please tell me how to pronounce it. AI for sure, two different things. One about the game, the other about the culture of the game. MJ sold a shoe. AI did something. Guys, stop it. Stop it.
But
Now,
is that not true
this is
though? Is that
ridiculous.
not true? Off the court, like, listen,
Oh my God.
everybody wanted to be like Mike because he was,
Everybody, because of what, Marv?
but because he was jumping over people, he was making incredible shots. But how many people could really do that? And Nike did a wonderful job of being, I want to be like Mike. Gatorade, they did a wonderful job of creating the persona of Michael Jordan. We all know that, but none of us could reach the athletic prowess that Michael Jordan had on the basketball court. Now, some of us could be Allen Iverson. Some of us could be Steph Curry with enough work and enough discipline. Because what they do, most people can do if they put the work in. You're not born with Michael Jordan's ability. Like,
It's not
most
about
people
that,
weren't
though.
born with Kobe Bryant's ability. Most people not born with LeBron's 6'8", 260 frame to be able to do the things that he can do. Yeah,
It's
you're right,
not
Recycle Me.
about
Off
that,
the
though,
court,
Marv.
nobody wanted to be like Mike.
Look, everybody wanted to be like Mike on and off the court. And you know it, Mark. That's what everybody said that. Everybody, when you looked at every playground in America, there were people wearing number 23 and wearing the Air Jordan shoes on the blacktop playing basketball. People were shaving
That's
their
called
heads
marketing.
bald because of Michael Jordan. And so how can anybody say that he's not the most influential? I agree. AI came in and ushered a different era, but the impact of AI certainly can't be compared to Michael Jordan's impact. Michael Jordan brought a global audience to the NBA. AI didn't do that. Steph Curry didn't do that. Kobe Bryant didn't do that. Michael Jordan did
Well,
that. That's the
if
one
you
that brought
poll
the world to
if
the
you
NBA.
if you poll most NBA players, especially today, didn't want to be Mike.
Oh my
They
God.
wanted to be. They wanted to be you. That's a
Well,
well-known fact that
well,
Allen Iverson, and if you put the marketing machine behind Allen Iverson instead of Reebok and what he had in Steph with Under Armour when he first came out, Michael Jordan's the arm of marketing that he had that put him in a position. Sure, he had to do his part by being phenomenal on the basketball court and doing things that most humans can't do. At 25, you couldn't do that. At 25, I know I couldn't do it because I wasn't
Mark,
6'6".
it's not
So
about whether
so
we can
it's
do
not
it or not.
relatable. Sure,
It's
everybody
not.
got a
It's not about
dream.
that. It's not about that though. It's not about whether we correct. We all wanted to dream to dunk over, be like. That's why the commercial. We still sing that. If I can be like Mike,
Yeah,
that rings in our head because of who that man was, is, and the usherance of the greatest
no,
player of all
people
time coming
people
into the NBA. Let me catch some
you
of these
you
people
can't
up. Toniki,
you can't watch.
go ahead, Mark.
Go ahead, Lee. No, you can't
I
watch
want
the
to read
NBA.
some of the
Well,
comments.
all right, go ahead. Go ahead. Read some comments.
Well, yeah, AI was approachable, not MJ. He's still not approachable. I disagree with that. People shave their heads because of balding. Come on, Recycle Me. You're tripping right now. You're tripping right now. And then Ray Blackwell, MJ 1, Kobe 2, AI 3, step 4. I can get sort of with that. I can get with that. Go ahead, Mark. Make your point.
I just if turn on the tournament right now, I'm watching the tournament right now, and I'm watching Alabama getting ready to start playing, watching Clemson and Baylor. Turn on any NBA game. The game has completely shifted into the things that Steph Curry and Allen Iverson did very well. It's an open space. If you can shoot it and you can shoot it well, you can find your way on a roster if you're efficient at it. Back in the day, you could not do that, right? Back when I played, if you wasn't 6'5" and above, even at the point guard spot, you couldn't find your way in the league. It wasn't that way. Now it's a lot different because of the open space and the space that Steph has created by changing the game with the jump shot. It's not about the athleticism anymore. And everybody feels like they can shoot a jump shot. I can go out here and shoot 10,000 jumpers and splash and make myself viable and make myself some money. People believe that now. Nobody believed they could be Mike. The commercial made you believe you could, but when you got out there in the quarter and you tore your ACL, then you knew you couldn't be like Mike.
Everybody wanted to be like Mike. AI brought in a black global president. That president was already here in America wanting to be like Mike. Everybody had the shoe. Why is it still the most popular shoe in the world? Why is it the most popular shoe in the world? Please ask me that.
Because we like sneakers.
That's just a saying that Nike made up to sell their shoes. Well, why didn't they do it with Manute Bol then? Now, Manute was 7'7". He was a different person. I mean, MJ is the man. And to say that, Marv, especially Marv, when you were growing up, and the years that you were Mr. Basketball, come on, Marv, be honest.
He wasn't my favorite player. He wasn't who I looked to pattern my game after because I knew I could never be that.
Yeah. Well, Marv, you didn't, but you still patterned yourself. Everybody did on that court after AI. After Jordan. AI was great. He brought in a different hip-hop culture. I think black people always loved Jordan. He brought in a hip-hop culture. The hip-hop culture still loved Jordan. There can't be, as Allen Iverson said, his favorite player all time was Jordan. Kobe Bryant says the same thing. Some of the greats that have ever played this game still idolize him, but we're going to say that their influence was bigger and better and more influential than Michael's. Come on. I can't believe that.
You take Mike like you take them Dallas Cowboys. That's a sensitive subject there.
Well, winners. I like to support all the winners that come down the pike.
Well, you should stop supporting Dallas. Then that's for sure.
But it's a marvel. Who would you say? Why would you put and then we'll move on? Why would you put Jordan in the pecking order of influential people? And let's start from the time you played basketball to now, just from your time.
I mean, I just know that guys, when I grew up, everybody loved to watch Mike because he's doing spectacular things. But guys that I knew didn't pattern their games after him. It was Magic in the passes. It was Isaiah. The way he controlled the basketball game. Like it was guys like that we patterned our games after. You love to watch Mike because he was box office, but he wasn't somebody that I said that I could be. I mean, I'm just being realistic. So now. Again, like the marketing behind Mike was genius. Spike Lee when he came, I mean, it was just all genius. Nike made him who he was in terms of a marketing powerhouse.
I take exception to that because the best, in my opinion, Marv, the greatest marketing ploy in NBA history was Little Penny and Anthony Hardaway. And it took off, but it was the great. I mean, bar none. Be like Mike, Magic Bird. It was Little Penny and Penny Hardaway.
Now Mars Blackman was Spike. Man. That is it the shoes?
Yeah, we'll take Mars Black. Why isn't Penny Hardaway? Because again,
because his game never took off that way. He got injured.
The global excellence and the fact that the myth was greater than anything that's come on. The ultimate winner is why that man's influence is still impacting the NBA as we speak.
I mean, come on, man. Everybody knows Jordan an asshole, man. Let's just be real.
We ain't talking about whether Jordan's
an asshole. He's not relatable. No, I got somebody I got a close friend that played with him. He's an asshole. Let's just be real, man.
Look, I don't care about
nobody wants to hang with Mike. Nobody want to chill with Mike. Nobody want to be like Mike. I know we all believe that because Gatorade told us we wanted to be like Mike. But people that I know he an asshole.
Well, I mean, I don't think and Marvin, and look, you know a lot of good people and great people, and these are great Americans. These are great Americans that you know. But I don't particularly think that Mike may not want to hang with them. But that's a different story as far as the impact of what this man has done with the NBA. But let's move on. I have something else that we wanted to get out in this area. And guys, thank you for all these comments. We tried to get as many of them on as we possibly can because we love this interaction. Great show so far. So we always talk about the debate about who is the GOAT and all of that, and everybody has their list and where the list begins and where it ends, and they have their criteria. Where does championships lie in that criteria, Mar? Because, you're splitting hairs with all of these players, and then you have to have some determining factors. So we talk about LeBron's longevity. We talk about Wilt just ultimately, and you never talk about Wilt in the top three, but that's a different story for me. But you talk about all of the stats that Wilt has that still stand today. You talk about Russell's championship, and you talk about Jordan's just pure dominance. So where does the championships lie when we talk about all of this, and when we're talking about that ultimate pecking order of the GOAT, Marv, and audience?
I think it all really depends on who you ask. And by the way, thank you, Sandra. I'm watching Bama now, 15-11, just in case y'all needed to know what the score was. Bama's up 15-11. So it all depends on really who you ask. It's subjective. Basketball heads, because you're trying to split hairs and trying to make the person that you believe to be the greatest of all time, championships do matter. But it's hard because the questions can never really be answered, right? Like, if we're talking about championships, I mean, Bill Russell would be a number one. I mean, he won 11 championships in 13 seasons, I think it was. And then if you wanted to go to the next era, I guess you would probably say, was it Magic? Was it Kareem? I would myself go with Kareem because, 12 All-Stars. I think Kareem has 3 titles. Magic maybe has 5. But Kareem transformed the game with the sky hook and his eloquence and the way he thought out the game. I mean, it was something different than we hadn't seen with Dr. J as well, kind of in that conversation about in terms of just eloquence of basketball. And then we get to the Mike era, and he is who he is. So, it's hard to say. I would love to have the debate if we were able to see careers that overlapped, right? Like the only ones that really overlapped a little bit was LeBron and Kobe.
Yeah.
But it's just such a subjective question because it all depends on what you value as important. I do think winning is important. So if you're asking me straight up, yes, winning is important. You can have a lot of statistics, but if it doesn't result in winning championships and winning the ultimate prize, then it's bottomless to me. Like it's
where
just
does
kind of
longevity? Where does longevity fall, Marv? Because when it's all said and done, LeBron James will be in the top 3 of every major category that you ever want to talk about. Where does it fall with longevity compared to when we're talking about the GOAT? And that's what we're talking about, the GOAT debate. Because LeBron can say nobody it's going to be able to match his numbers, his all-out numbers. But you still have that 4-6 record in the finals. How do you reconcile those two when you have a Michael Jordan that's 6-0 and nobody even got past 6 games in a championship series?
well.
Wait,
So
let me add this, Marv. But you all, and then I'll let you. But you also have a Wilt Chamberlain, who is the most dominant player to ever play in the NBA. Now, please go.
So, because I know you love Mike, so let's go to this Mike question real quick. Now, nobody's debating his greatness and his ability to win championships. That's not debatable. But I never hear any Jordan fans bring up the fact that he was 1-9 in the playoffs before Scottie Pippen. Like, well, listen, is if we're talking about the ability to nitpick greatness, does that not matter? Does that not matter that he didn't really start winning anything of value? He had the stats, but he didn't start winning anything of value until Scottie came. And remember, hold on, one more fact about Michael Jordan that I need you to kind of dispute because I know you will. Remember that when he retired, and I was in Birmingham at the time, I used to go watch him at the Birmingham Bears, and he retired. Remember, Scottie Pippen took that same team and won 55 games that next year. You do remember that, right? He won 55 games with that same team, and
Did
then
they
Phil
get to the
Jackson went crazy
final?
with Tony Kukoc. But what I'm saying is that all of this is debatable. So no matter how nobody's going to debate that Jordan is 6 NBA Finals MVP. That's not debatable. But there are parts of that you can nitpick if you need to. Wilt didn't win enough. Like let's just be. And if he would have came in, I love Wilt. I think Wilt is one of the all-time greats. But Bill Russell, to me, with who he was, what he stood for, what he signified, what he fought through, especially in Boston. We all know how that kind of went. The championships he won, like to me, there's nothing ahead of Bill Russell, to me. But
I get it. No, but Marv, two things. My rebuttal. LeBron didn't win until he went to Miami. I mean, how can you judge Jordan? And first of all, the Scottie Pippen didn't win. Scottie Pippen had 5 migraines before they ever won anything. Stop it.
But the point is that he still didn't win until Pippen got there.
Yeah, Scottie was a good addition, but Scottie, come on, stop that.
He was a good addition.
He is a great player. Scottie's a great player, but stop that when he didn't win till Jordan, because LeBron didn't win until he went to Miami. And I'm a huge LeBron James fan. The people that are saying, first of all, someone said, recycle me, Wilt played with midgets. The average size of big men when Wilt played was 6'10". Look it up, because that's a fallacy that everybody has, that Wilt played with midgets. No, he didn't.
And before and Lee, I'm gonna let you go real quick, Lee, and real quick to defend what you're saying too. People can't choose what era they play in, right? You can't choose what era you dominate. If he's in that era and he's playing with midgets and he's dominating, then damn it, he dominating that era. A lot of people couldn't do that. So I don't like that argument, because you can't pick and choose what era you're in, but you can pick and choose whether you dominated, and he did.
Yeah, absolutely. And recycle me, LeBron had a G League team the whole time in Cleveland.
Facts.
Look. I'm a big LeBron guy, but let me say this, Marv. Back when I was 22, me, you, recycle me, Miss Keaton, Miss Orange, we could have got to the playoffs in the East when LeBron was back there. There were 2 teams in the whole East. Give me a break. Stop that. And there's nothing wrong with that. You got to win them championships, and that's why those 6 losses still hurt LeBron. Let's be honest about that. But the Wilt thing always kills me, Marv. The Wilt thing kills me, because I'm a historian of sport, and his greatness is defined. Look, 50-point games. He has 7 of the top 10 scoring seasons all time, averages all time. This is ridiculous when people discredit Wilt. The championship matters, though, Marvin. Everybody glosses over this.
And he couldn't.
Never getting out of 6 games is tremendous. Never getting out of to a 7th game, Marv. You a basketball.
I mean, but come on, man. All right, so are we gonna start breaking these down? Then we're gonna start breaking down competition in the finals now, because we could spend a whole show on that. We could spend a whole show on Utah and the Phoenix teams that he went through. Like, we could spend a whole show on this, and I think we all know on who's had the tougher road in NBA finals. I think we can probably all agree on that.
And we'll have that show, because that's a beautiful thing, and I want the audience to comment on it. Karl Malone, John Stockton, Steve Nash.
Steve Nash?
Hall of Famer,
Stop.
Marv. He's a Hall of Famer.
Stop.
He's a Hall of Famer. How many Hall of Famers have LeBron played with on his path? KD, Steph Curry. I don't think what's the boy named
Tim Duncan, man, Tony Parker.
No, he lost twice. Didn't he lose a couple times to the guys? Come on, Marv.
You asked him who he played. That's exactly my point about the competition. The competition has been. He went through that. He had to go through that Celtics team with Paul Pierce and Garnett and Ray. Like, come on, man. Like I know you a Jordan lover, but sometimes you just got to be able to say, okay, maybe there's some validity in what you're saying. It ain't gonna change my opinion, but maybe there's some validity in it.
I love LeBron. I just have to be honest. My job on here is to be honest. And people continually, whitewash this stuff. You have to, all of the factors. Jordan better score. Jordan better defensive player. Jordan a better winner. Jordan's are better. I mean, it's just a lot of things that you have to say, Marv, when you're looking at that, and then add on the championships and 6 games, never going to the 7th. That gives, in my opinion, Jordan a nod. Let's catch up on some of these people. Let's see, recycling. You can't blame LeBron for the team he had. Jordan would have had the same record if he was. Please. Jordan took a bunch of coke ads and crack addicts to the playoffs. Come on, stop it.
Yeah, and won one game. It won
Yeah.
one game.
So let's be honest with
LeBron took a G League team, like he said, to the NBA Finals.
that. Y'all are killing me. Y'all
Context, like Dr. Tanika Orange said earlier, context matters.
Contact
Right?
matters.
So let's have some context in this.
Keep it coming, because I can't believe y'all are saying that about the GOAT. All right, let's switch it up. Our last topic for today. God, thank you for all the comments. Please tell a friend. This is how we do it every week. Please have them subscribe. We love when y'all comment on us. We're going to add some call features in so we can talk to you guys in the coming weeks. So please stay tuned for that. Our last topic for today is the quarterbacks in the NFL draft that are coming out. And by my estimation, everybody's saying there's 5 that are going in the first round. It should be 6. Marv, talk to me about the quarterbacks. Who you think are the best? Who you think is the best? And give me the pecking order and the reasons why. And who you think will be successful at the next level coming out of this 2024 class.
Yeah, I know what's going to come out of your mouth when I say this, but I actually went back and kind of looked at some things, and to me, the best quarterback who I think will end up having the best career out of this draft is Jaden Daniels. I think that to watch how he's progressed from when he was at Arizona State and watch how he reworked his game at LSU, his mechanics, he's probably got the smoothest mechanics, I think, of any quarterback in this draft. Situationally, he was really good at LSU. He got the ball into tight windows. And I got to watch him a lot. I'll be fair, because I am an SEC fan. I got to watch him a lot. I got to watch what he did to Bama, what he did to Florida, what he did to some pretty high-level athletes and defenses. He made them look like they were really average. So to me, I think Jaden Daniels is the best quarterback in this draft. Of course, there's some downside to it. There's some things that he doesn't do well, but I think the positives of his game far outweigh any of those. Number 2, I think, is Caleb Williams. I'm not as high on him as you are. I know you think he's generational. I'll let you talk about him, but there are some flaws. I think he holds the ball a little bit too long, and I think that he does because he is probably the closest that we've seen to Patrick Mahomes and trying to always make something happen. And he has the arm talent to do it. He's kind of like a Brett Favre in the sense where he feels like he can fit the ball anywhere he wants to, like that gunslinger mentality. And sometimes it gets him in trouble, but I don't think that you can really question the talent, the arm talent, and what he brings to the table with that. I'm a little bit afraid of him going to Chicago. I know that city. A lot of us know that city, and he gonna have to win that locker room real quick if that is the way that they go. But talent wise, yeah, I think he's second. To me, I'm just putting Drake May there because I don't really like him. I think he's he's one of the many that they try to pump up. Like I watched him at North Carolina a lot. I saw a lot of mistakes. I saw a lot of bad decisions. He's got arm talent. He's above average athletically, sure. But I don't think he holds a candle to the first 2. I think Michael Penix is there. The only thing that bothers me is the injuries. I mean, you can't gloss over it. 2 ACLs, I think a shoulder. But what he did under Kalen DeBoer's offense and leading that team to a national championship appearance with subpar talent in a lot of cases with Washington, he can throw the football, man. And I think if he gets in the right situation where they can protect him and allow him to be who he is, I think he'll be a good pro. And the other guy that nobody talks about that I love, and I know you're going to call me SEC homer, but he's got to get in the right spot, is Spencer Rattler. I think that his arm talent is unquestioned. Like he can spin the rock, man. And when he's good, he makes everybody around him better. But when he's bad, he's bad. And everybody else looks really bad around him. So, but I think he's another one. And if he gets in the right situation, he's not ready to start day one. But if he gets in the right situation with a right organization that can kind of bring him along, I think he might be a diamond in the rough. And my Blake Bortles, my Brock Purdy of the draft is the kid from South Alabama.
Okay.
I don't know if you the Carter Bradley kid. I don't know if a lot of people watch him. He was at Toledo before, then he went to South Alabama, but he got a strong arm. He really excelled at the Senior Bowl. A lot of people are pretty high on him. Of course, he's not going to be a day one starter, but I think throughout the progression of his career, you might see him make a little bit of noise. So keep an eye out for that name.
Yeah, you did mention, and then I'll give a quick summation of mine. You didn't mention Bo Nix or J.J. McCarthy, Marv. Why not?
I saw enough of Bo Nix at Auburn. I know what Bo Nix is. You know, the offense at Oregon was tailored around. He had a lot of athletes around him. The Pac-12 was weak in that sense defensively. You know, I'm not a Bo Nix fan. I'm not sold on him. I think he's Blake Bortles, Mr. Trubisky 2.0. And J.J. McCarthy, like, come on, man. I think this is a smokescreen.
Wow.
At least I hope it is, because I saw nothing from J.J. McCarthy at his time in Michigan that warrants him being the top 5 pick. He is an average pedestrian quarterback to me. He did all the things that he needed to do at Michigan to win football games, but that wasn't much because Michigan was good. That defense was special. They ran the ball more than they threw it. He never had to win a football game for them. So to say that he's a top 5 quarterback, you know what we talk about. It's that privilege that we're talking about. Like he's cerebral. He can make all the reads. He can make all the throws. Well, damn it, I never saw it. So what warrants him to be a top 5 pick is beyond,
Yeah.
is beyond reason to me.
Yeah, you have your high risers every year. I do think Bo Nix rebounded from his time in Auburn though, and I agree with you that Oregon. I mean, he has an offense that is very suited for success. Very high completion rate, 72 something percent. But so I like Bo Nix. I don't think Bo Nix or J.J. McCarthy are first round draft picks. I don't think that. I think teams are going to reach for them. They're going to draft. I think McCarthy very high. I know the Giants have been rumored to have interest in him, so they're going to draft him high. But I don't think that the May kid 6'4", 230, right? Prototypical. When you have these GMs that look for that size, that weight size, and he is an above average athlete on the field. Under pressure is where you'll see him start to make his mistakes. That's why I grade Daniels and Williams above him, because they're playmakers as well as cerebral quarterbacks. They throw in the pocket and they're accurate. And then so May's completion percentage goes down as the pressure comes up. So that's something that people don't talk about when they talk about Drake May. That's an area of concern. But I do think Caleb is the best, because Caleb had to overcome a terrible defense at USC. And so he had to always push the envelope and try to score. So, yeah, he had a bad game against Notre Dame. But you look at him, he had 72 touchdowns, 10 interceptions over his time at USC. He's a stud, and I think his playmaking ability, I think that's what we're going to see. Yeah, I think his persona, his personality, people dislike him a lot because of his personality, but I think Caleb Williams is hands down number one. And Marv, I think Michael Penix, yeah, he has the knee, the knees and the shoulder, but if you can give Kirk Cousins $180 million coming off a torn ACL, and based off of his career success, then you can look at Michael Penix and say he throws the best football of anybody in the draft. He's more accurate, more velocity. His skill set in spinning that ball is bar none of all of the quarterbacks. Then he should be in that first round, and especially when you've had a chance for your doctors to check him out. So I think Michael Penix is the steal of the draft, because I don't think, from what they're saying, he's going to be a first rounder. And whoever either sneaks back up into that first round, end of the first round to get him, or early second round, are going to get a potential starter for a number of years in the NFL with Michael Penix. I hope the Raiders and Antonio Pierce gets Michael Pierce. So, Marv, any closing thoughts as we close out? Guys, thank you for all the comments for today's show. It's been great. We appreciate it, and please tell a friend about us. Marv, what closing comments do you have about anything we talked about? How's Alabama doing? Hopefully they're doing okay right now.
Recycle Me just said Baylor getting crushed by Clemson right now. I didn't see that, but Bama up 23-20. So everybody roll tide. We need to get to the Sweet 16 where we can make some noise. And I don't know if y'all watched today, but that beating the Lady Gamecocks put on North Carolina today was whoa. I don't know if anybody can beat South. The only way South Carolina loses in this tournament is if they beat themselves, because I don't think nobody can beat them.
Yeah, well, I watched most of the LSU game today. They started slow. They came on late in that game. They but South Carolina's a different animal. But I hope we get to see those teams match up. I hope that and I hope that they get a chance to play Iowa as well. I know Iowa has a tough road, but I really like what Angel Reese did today. Angel Reese has been playing in this tournament. She's been doing her thing, and I just want to see the best teams play each other.
Yeah.
Well, hey, we're gonna have to say goodbye to another episode of After the Buzzer. Y'all, please tell people about us. Please subscribe. This is how we do it every week. Next week, we hope to get Mr. Brown back on. Thank you for even thinking about coming on. Guys, we love you guys. Thanks for the comments. Thanks for tuning in and rolling with us. I'm Lee Jones. He's the Hall of Famer Marvin Orange. We'll see you next week.
Roll Tide.